Thanks for checking in on the State of Basketball Podcast, episode 73. I'm Adam Miller, and I'm here with Jaren Will each and every week, where we are going to be bringing you the news and notes on all 11 Division I schools in the state of Indiana, because in 49 states,
it's just basketball.
What do you think, Jaren? We had some in-state matchups this week, and those were fun, but now that I've looked ahead at what happened this week, I'm realizing that we are coming to the end of the regular season, which makes me happy and sad.
Yeah, it's March. Kinda.
It will be March.
It will be March on Saturday.
Next time you see us after this.
Yeah. It's which is always weird to me, right? Because it's March Madness. You know, the NCAA tournament used to be
all in March,
and now
you play 31 games plus a conference tournament.
It's not
them pesky conference tournaments, man.
But it's still madness because it's teams are now playing or trying to play their best form of basketball so they can make the NCAA tournament, or in some teams' cases, make their conference tournament, right? So definitely my favorite part of the season, because it's maybe not my favorite. It's like a top 5 favorite part of the season, right? You got to think about the start of the season, right? Always the favorite. Conference tournaments, love it. NCAA tournament, love it. Yeah. But it's okay, now we really see what teams are made of, because they're coming to the end of their season, so they're tired. They've played a lot, but it's also that crucial time.
And resumes are changing day by day. You know, just looking at conference races, you look at Purdue Fort Wayne. Seemed like they had to have a lot happen to maybe get first, and now it's doable. Or Indiana's been on the flirting with the bubble, and they've gotten a couple of wins and left a lot of wins on the table. Or Purdue's vying for seed position, and you know, I think my least favorite time is probably 2 weeks from now, because we have hardly any games.
Yeah,
there are some conference tournaments sprinkled into that though, which is nice. So that's fun. But yeah, it's nice because I obviously the first weekend of March Madness is the best time in sports for me. But leading up to that and after, I guess, we don't get to talk about, we might only be talking about 2 of our teams.
Yeah.
If we're lucky, we'll probably be talking about 2 of our teams.
Yeah.
During the tournament. But
yeah, for sure. But we're lucky right now because we have a wonderful sponsor, Crow's Nest Coffee. Again, a great coffee. You can buy single bag. You can buy however many bags you want. You can sign up for their subscription service where they'll send you 2 bags a month. That could be your favorite bag. It could be, typically will be we'll call it a mystery, right? You don't know what you're going to get, but it's just every month they'll send you a different flavor profile, different type of, bean blend. So
yeah, get something.
Sign up. You can use
something for you, get something for someone else.
Yep. But 15% off every order using promo code TSOB. Or if you want to subscribe, you can go to the link in our description. It'll take you directly to the subscription page to sign up for that. And they sponsor our power rankings. Our Week 16 power rankings are as followed. Not one change. There's one change. So if you followed us last week, it's a guess who's it going to be? But at 11, we've got Southern Indiana. At 10, why are you laughing about Southern Indiana being at 11?
No, because I was thinking it would have been really funny if you were we had one change, and you're 11, Purdue. Yeah, just something or something just absolutely that would make no sense, but is an huge change. Just one change.
Yeah, right.
First to last.
Right. No, okay, so 11, we've got Southern Indiana. At 10 is IU Indy. At 9 is Evansville. At 8, we've got Ball State. They moved down 1 spot. And at 7, moving up 1 spot from the previous week, is Valpo. Those were the only changes. I guess, is that really one change, or is it 2 changes? Because 2 teams changed.
Well, you can't just change one.
Good point. So they're just a singular change. At 6 is Indiana State. 5 is Notre Dame. 4 is Purdue Fort Wayne. 3 is Butler. 2 is Indiana. And at the top still, even with taking a loss to another one of our teams here, is Purdue.
Right. I mean, that's 2 teams that took losses to other teams below them. Purdue and Indiana State both lost to teams below them, but did not get jumped because that is not how the power rankings work.
Right.
It's not a power ranking of specifically this week. It's 16.
If it was week 1,
else.
if it was week 1, that is how it would work. But not this time.
Not who had the best week. It's where they are based on their resume.
Yes.
But you know that probably. We'll rank next week, obviously. But then not everyone plays week 18.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Is it even worth ranking? I guess ranking them one more time.
A final, because the season will be over.
Yeah,
you can put up that final yeah.
But let's start, at the top where we always do, because we're simpletons. Again, we go over this every single time. We have done something and we have to stick with it every single time.
I set up the document this week and I almost put it in power ranking order, but I was gonna copy and paste and move the sheet around. I was gonna do that when I was setting up, and I was like, no, I'm not gonna do that.
That would be funny. But we're gonna start with Ball State. So they went down just slightly in Torvik from 255 down to 256. They had a 1-1 week, as close to being 2-0 as you can possibly be, I guess, without going into overtime. So they went 1-1, and they're 14-13 overall and 7-7 in the MAC. So they are only 4 games left in the MAC. They have 4 games left in the regular season, and this week they lost at Toledo by 1, 67-66, and then they won at home versus Buffalo 80-66. So back-to-back games scoring 66 points. One game it was enough. One game it was slightly not enough.
Yeah. No, they didn't score 66.
Sorry, they scored 80. Yeah. 66 in both games, not by them. The losers scored at 66. Yeah. So 66 was unlucky for 2 games, just not for the Cardinals.
That's the way to put it. Yeah, I mean, at this point of the season, right, you talked about them being 7-7 in the conference.
Mm-hmm.
This is one of the 3 conferences that we talk about that there's a cutoff to make the conference tournament. The other, the MAC, obviously, and then Big Ten now, and the Ohio Valley Conference. But Ball State's they're firmly, we talked about it last week a little bit, they're firmly sitting at 6th place.
Yeah.
They're tied for 6th.
Is that what they were last week?
Yes. Okay. Yeah. So no shakeups for them. But they're tied for 6th with one of the Michigan directional schools. Western Michigan, maybe.
That sounds right.
But they do have, I think, the tiebreaker, so they're the one above, right? So they are the 6th seed. The 7th seed is tied for 6th, but is the 7th seed.
Okay.
They have a 2-game lead over Central Michigan, who's in 9th. So
as long as they don't go.
So as long as right. But they're and they're above Bowling Green as well. So Bowling Green and Central Michigan are in 9th place and 2 games back from Ball State. They have remaining games against both of those teams. So if they win both those games, they win one of those games.
Yeah, they just need to win one.
They're solid. So I think at this point, like if they go 2-2 the rest of the season, I
don't think there's any way that they can get out.
Yeah, as long as they go 2-2.
It's almost impossible to not be at least 8th at 500 in the league.
Yeah.
Like it's almost impossible to do. It's not impossible, but it's very, very close to being impossible. So
yeah,
that's reassuring that they hopefully don't have to worry about that, because they barely missed it last year. They barely missed it, right? Because remember we were going through all the scenarios of like how they would make it, and then I think they just missed it, and then we were doing the same thing for Southern Indiana, and they ended up making it. So that's good that they're in a good shape. They had the buzzer beater at Toledo. They had the lead in the first half, and they gave it up, and then they had the buzzer beater. Fat Hill let off a shot. It went in, like it was good, and they reviewed it because it was close to the expiring, and they reviewed it and said shot was no good, so they lose that one on an absolute heartbreaker. One they would have liked to have had for sure, but I mean, still.
Yeah, I mean we're obviously having a completely different conversation.
Yeah,
if
or we wouldn't even have to mention them missing the tournament.
Yeah, pretty much. So,
but the Buffalo game, they honored their 99-2000 team who won the MAC, and they had their like best attendance of the year at 5,276. So that's really exciting to see that like people are coming back and like excited about a team that was really good. And then the other thing from the Buffalo game that I just thought was interesting was Ben Hendricks was 6 for 8, had 14 points off the bench in only 11 minutes. Just Mr. Efficiency, man.
Yeah.
Just doing Ben Hendricks things.
My goat. Anything else from Ball State?
No, it's nice to see that they are, I don't want to say firmly in the race. They feel as comfortable as they can without being a lock for the MAC tournament, technically. Yep.
And I mean, even lately too, just in general, they've been playing well against the top teams in the conference.
Yeah,
which is what you like to see.
Yeah, and Toledo is like 9-4 or somewhere around there.
They're like in third.
Yeah, and so it's like feels good that you can compete. Obviously everyone has to compete with Akron at the end of the day. It's Akron's to lose.
Akron lost this week.
I know, but it's at this point like the bid is Akron's to lose, but. The MAC has done crazy things before, and it will continue. It will continue being the MAC.
Yep. So moving on to Butler, they are Torvik ranked 74, which is exactly where they were last week. They did go 1-1 this week. They are 13-14 overall and 6-10 in the Big East. They lost at Xavier 63-76, and then they won at DePaul 84-72. That road trip would suck because they're just in opposite directions.
At least it's not that far either way. I mean, like, you're busing it, I would assume.
They had to have gone home, right? Go home for a night and then go?
Yeah. I would imagine.
Maybe.
Well, what days were their games?
I don't remember.
I don't remember the exact days. I don't know why you wouldn't, because it's on the way anyway.
And it's only, like, it's 3 hours either way, so, like, why would, It's not like it's a 7-hour drive.
Well, how far even is Cincinnati from Indy? I've only ever driven from Fort Wayne, which is obviously a different trip.
I'd say 3 hours tops.
Yeah,
definitely.
Probably like 2.
Probably closer to 2. Yeah, I can't remember.
I think it was like 4. It was like 4 hours from Trine or something. So probably like 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they drive back that night.
Yeah.
Practice at Hinkle. Go up.
That makes sense.
Or practice,
It's not a true road trip. It was just 2 strings of games.
Yeah, it's not like they had to go to DePaul, Creighton. Then they would probably just stay.
Yeah, naturally. But talking about those games, the Xavier game, they just couldn't keep control of the ball.
Yeah,
it
wasn't very competitive.
Yeah, they had 20 turnovers, and I think 14 were steals.
Yeah,
it's like they were walking through the streets of like Barcelona, just getting their pockets picked.
Yeah, I mean, it just really like Xavier just controlled the game. For the whole thing, pretty much. Did want to do a quick check-in on Ryan Conwell, who you remember was at Indiana State last year. He had 14 points, and then former Hoosier Jerome Hunter, who, if you aren't familiar with his story is just incredible to hear, like what he's had to go through to just still continue to be able to play basketball and all the things he's had. Happened to him that a lot of people would probably hang it up, but he's been able to come back. Has been at Xavier for like the last 3 years, I think.
I think so.
And
4.
Yeah,
he left after Archie.
He left when Archie left. Just to see him come back and be able to play. He had 5 points, but at any time he gets on the floor, like I'm just happy to see him playing.
It's a guy that you always root for no matter what, kind of thing.
Yeah. They do have a return game against Xavier. This is the first time. Big East does it just so, like, the Big East scheduling is always so funny to me because they play. I feel like most of the time they play a team twice pretty close together.
Mm-hmm.
Like they played Butler or Xavier this week, and then they play Xavier the second to last game of the season. I mean, it's not obviously all like that because I think their last game is Creighton or something.
Yeah. Something like that.
Creighton or maybe, yeah, I think it might be. But they also have St. John's. Anyway, I don't remember who their last game is, but it's someone that they played, a while ago. But it's just weird just playing a team so soon.
Yeah.
When there's really not that many teams in the league, like you could space it out a little bit.
Right.
Run through them all and then run through them back.
Yeah.
But
in the DePaul game, they started off really hot. I think they made 14 of their first 20 when they were but they were 7 of 9 from 3.
Yeah.
Which is okay.
You're like, this is going to be the best game ever.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is it.
But then they only after their first 20 shots, they only finished 10 of 24, I think, from 3.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 10 of 24. So they were hot for 3 at the beginning, but they just got them all out then.
What would you rather have? Would you rather have your team come out slow, like Butler has a lot this season, like come out slow or flat, and then come on late, or do like what Butler did, where they come out hot, real big lull in the middle, and then they still come on strong at the end?
I'd rather 40 minutes.
Okay, that wasn't an option. That wasn't an option.
I'd probably rather them have kind of that bell curve, I guess inverted bell curve of start strong,
finish strong,
and then finish strong. Because if you start strong, you build a buffer for yourself more than likely.
Right, you're not playing. It's really nerve-wracking playing from behind.
Yeah,
it's frustrating losing the lead, but just playing from behind the whole time.
Yeah, but then if you have that lull in the middle, whether that's you give up the lead or the lead shrinks, then finishing strong and then building that lead back up, I think is ideal. Because then you've got, in theory, 4 quarters. You've got a strong first quarter,
right?
Strong second quarter. So you're playing 2 good halves, versus playing a good half and a bad half.
Yeah, and I feel like the way they ended on a 17-4 run to win it by 12. That probably feels better, as a player. Feels better to do that because you're like, all right, we left with good momentum.
Yep.
Like we can carry this forward. We didn't feel like we squeaked out of there,
right?
And didn't let them complete the comeback. We just put them away.
Yeah. Well, it's anything else on Butler you wanted to touch on?
Go Dogs, I guess. I don't know. Just a regular Go Dogs. They did complete the season sweep of DePaul.
Nice.
So they beat DePaul at home when Chris Holtman came back and was booed. And then they went to Chicago and Wintrust and beat their former coach there as well.
Former coaches.
It's true. That's true.
So moving on to Evansville, they are 253 up from 265 last week. They went 1-1 this week. They are 11-18 overall, 8-10 in the Valley. They won at Indiana State 79-74. They lost at Illinois Chicago 77-82. Well, they avoided the sweep against Indiana State.
Yeah. And I mean, they did it on this big 3 has kind of emerged this last couple of games, and that's been, Pizzato, Comer, and then Turnbull has been real nice lately.
Yep.
Turnbull has been he was just catching oops for days in this game.
Yeah.
Which is reassuring to see. Because you wondered when Pizzato went down, who in the world was it going to be? Was it going to be Josh Hughes? Was it going to be, Turnbull? Who was going to be that guy? And then it ended up being Comer, and then Pizzato came back, and then Turnbull has just been great. So I had a note that Comer, Pizzato, Hughes, and Turnbull all hit 7 shots. Took different. I think Turnbull was 7 of 9 or something.
Right. Yeah.
Pizzato was 7 of 20 or 7 of 19 or something. But it is interesting that they all took 7 shots. But good.
Made 7 shots.
Yeah, made 7 shots. Good win. I mean, Holman Center will fill it up on
Yep.
you, and going in there and just not being phased by like another flashy scorer in Teal or someone who gets down, does the dirty work and digs down deep like Daughtry. Not letting that phase you and just winning the game is good for the Aces.
Yeah, and I mean they technically won the season matchup against the Sycamores, so they obviously split.
Yeah.
But when you look at their aggregate score,
oh my God.
Evansville won it 141-140. I was looking at the scores.
So they're on paper 1 point better.
Yeah.
We've got Evansville in the chat. I said appreciate the loves. We appreciate you, Evansville. We appreciate your hospitality. Came down.
Yeah, it was great. We had a great experience. Very much can't wait to go back next season.
Yeah, and shout out to the River City jerseys. You said it, best jerseys any team in the state has worn. That's sure.
That is valid. But I was looking at the scores and I was just flipping back. I was like, okay, these scores look so even. Like, oh my God, I hope they're the same. Like the aggregate scores are the same, just for the sake of like our show. And then
so they won it 141-140.
Yeah, and I was like, this is incredible. I'm writing this down either way.
Okay.
What about the IUC game? What happened?
UIC.
UIC. What did I say? IUC.
IU Columbus.
IU.
They played IU Columbus.
Hey man.
In-state matchup in the middle of February. First of all, they wore orange, which I know, like, obviously
Best
the River City ones were slick. I like the orange jerseys. I don't know why I like the orange jerseys. They don't come out a lot.
They're clean, and it's just like such an obscure color.
They're the only ones who wear purple in-state. That also the only ones who wear orange.
Right.
Which makes it just that much better. I like alternate jerseys usually. I'm trying to think of one that I just hated. I don't think even the IU ones I liked. I like those. I like those at the end of the day. No, people didn't.
Yeah, people didn't.
Which is crazy because I feel like I'm always the one who's like, I don't like the IU alternates.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
Like they didn't wear the big brain. We'll talk about it. Big brain. They didn't wear their jerseys because they needed the win. That's why. But they wore orange, and then they just got out rebounded. They couldn't close at the end of the game, and that's what Coach Rags said. He was saying like we just couldn't get a stop. We needed a stop at the end of the game over and over, and we just couldn't get one. Just couldn't get a rebound, and that's what kind of killed them in the end. I mean, you only lose by 5, and you get a stop, and you're right there. That just couldn't happen.
I got a question for you.
Okay.
So we look at this team. Statistically speaking, if I were to ask you who Evansville's most valuable player is, who would you say? Across.
What do you mean by most valuable and statistically speaking? Like, who's put up?
Who would you say? Who would you say their most valuable player is?
Their most valuable player? I could say Comer, probably because he gets everything going, or I think a guy like Turnbull is just very important on the floor. I'll go with Comer.
Comer?
I'll say Comer.
It is. When you look at the metrics, it is
the metrics.
Turnbull. He leads the team in plus minus.
Okay.
At minus 23. The next
Wait. What?
Just yeah.
I guess they okay. I guess that makes sense. That's just not the number I was expecting you to say.
Yeah.
They're like, he leads the team. That's for the season.
Yeah. For the season.
Okay.
The next closest is Michael Day with minus 32. I think guys like Comer and like Pizzata were in the like minus 50s, something like that. But then when you look at his BPR, which is just like the rating between his offense value and his defense value, he is the highest at 1.74. The next highest is Cuff at 0.89 and Comer at 0.6.
Okay.
To put it in comparison, I know we've talked about it before. you look at like Conwell last year at Indiana State, he was in like the threes, kind of thing, and that BPR, that offensive, defensive aggregate. I was just poking around Evan Mia and looking at this stuff. I was just curious because we talk about Comer a lot lately. We've talked about Pizzato in the early part of the season, and then obviously Turnbull's been playing phenomenally. Like, let me just.
So who's number one?
Turnbull.
Okay, Turnbull.
It's like, let me just look at this. I want to see.
Interesting.
And it helps that he had a great week this week. And
yeah, dude, just catching lobs.
Yeah,
stay catching lobs. Let's talk about Indiana, who also had a great week. They went up 3 spots, only 3 spots in Torvik, from 61 up to 58. 1-0 this week, only played once, and that was today. They won their game versus Purdue 73-58. That brings them to 16-11 in the season and 7-9 in the Big Ten. So 4 games left for the Hoosiers, and this one was one that they absolutely needed if they want to continue to play past the Big Ten tournament.
Yeah.
First thing I want to mention is it was the 40-year anniversary.
To the day.
Yeah, to the day of Bob Knight throwing the chair, which is incredible. I drink out of a
coffee mug
of it. But they said they got the actual chair, right?
Yes.
They had the actual chair.
Mm-hmm.
Where was it?
So,
where was the chair?
Mike Woodson told us. So first off, a lot of people were like questioning,
everyone says they have.
Everyone says they have the chair. Is it really the chair?
Yeah.
Like, people were questioning it on the air. People were questioning it on Twitter. I wrote down the night chair. Was it the one?
Mm-hmm.
Woodson post game, he told the story of how he said this is the chair, and he told the story of how he procured it. So Scott Greer, who was an old tennis coach at the time that the throw occurred,
on February 23rd,
yes,
1985.
Yes,
just throwing a random day out there.
So the day after the game, he went back to Assembly Hall, got the chair.
How did he know which one was the chair? Did they just put it back in the regular spot?
I imagine.
Someone swapped it beforehand. Imagine.
But he got like sign off from all the coaches. Yeagley, former
Yeagley
senior, not actually senior, but like
yeah. Big Yeagley,
big Yeagley,
big Yeags.
He was part of it. They talked to like all the other coaches for like other teams and stuff. Got sign off, got approval, like that he could keep the chair.
Bro,
they took pictures with it.
Why is this coach a dog? Why is he everyone's dude? I want to know, man.
But
apparently the tennis coach is loved.
Like talked to the athletic department, all that. Got the chair. Well, he passed away a couple years ago, I believe.
Okay.
But his daughter is friends with Mike Woodson's wife.
Interesting.
And when he passed
over,
away,
they were having some wine, and she was like, "This is the chair." She's like, "What?" He was like, "The chair I'm sitting on."
I think they like knew that he had it,
right?
But when he passed away, they gifted the chair to the Woodsons with like all the documentation and like the certificate of authenticity, like all that. Like gave it to the Woodsons, and Mike Woodson's like had it for a couple of years apparently.
That's crazy.
And he just decided, he's like, I made the decision. I wanted to sit on it. And I just also decided I wasn't going to throw it.
That's good. He should have thrown it up into the air when they won.
That's probably more dangerous than yeeting it across the court.
Yeah, I know, But that's more funny.
I think he should use the chair for the rest of the home games.
It worked. The best visual
is when he puts his cushion on it.
He still had his cushion on it.
Well,
so like
he would especially have his cushion for that chair.
I know. Because it's Did you see when they like zoomed in and showed that all the chairs were chained together?
Yeah. Yeah, they've been chained for years, dog.
But they were like showing you like, yeah, these are chained together. Like I was watching on mute. but like I saw that visual and it is really funny.
um,
what are your thoughts about the game though?
it was odd to me that Balo and Mbako didn't start, and also Mbako just didn't see the court on the second half.
Yeah, I mean, I don't.
Obviously, like
based on how the thing started in the first when the second half started, I wouldn't have changed the lineup at all either.
Yeah, and I don't think a single sub played the second half. Well, other than
Balo,
Renew
yeah.
and Balo, like those two were switched in and out. But I don't think Carlisle or
yeah, I don't remember if he got minutes, but like, yeah, I mean, he knew.
Yeah, no, they only played three subs. It was Mbako, Balo, and Carlisle, but
Okay.
I don't think Mbako or Carlisle went in the second half. I thought it was good. I mean, I thought that the second half we saw, the start of the first half, and the second half we saw, is kind of what I expected to see from them all season.
Mm-hmm. I don't know why. I don't know why the starting lineup was different. I don't really care. But I thought that it was meaningful for Indiana that like he had 3 guys starting, and you can include Renew in that. Who know like the rivalry.
Yeah.
Like you had Leal, Galloway, and Goody who like know, care, and like are obviously, gonna crank it up to another level. I thought that was important.
Mm-hmm.
I thought when the score was 2-2 that Anthony Leal was going to be gone.
And I think if he was gone, I don't think Indiana wins this game.
I don't think so either, because that would have completely changed things. So if you weren't watching, last week we talked for a long time about hitting people in the nuts, and how it has just all year, when it's been incidental, been a flagrant 2.
Mm-hmm.
Just like if there's any contact to someone's nuts, they just give you a flagrant 2 and they kick you out. And there was like a play where first tangles up with Leal and it looked like a hook and hold. They go down. Leal gets up and like his foot kicks back when he's starting to run and hits first in the nuts. And you and I both thought it's going to be an F1 on first and a flagrant 2 on Leal.
Yeah. I think that's what everyone thought.
Yeah. They're like, at least. Like,
even Lapis on air was talking about it. He's like, this is what's happening.
Mm-hmm. And like, if you show just a random person, like, I'm not saying there's no way that he accidentally hit him in the nuts, but it was an odd movement. Like, it was like, well, that looks a little. He
pushed his foot back more than down.
Yeah.
To like try and get.
Yeah.
To like explode off of it. So
and
like
his foot wasn't on the ground. It was weird. So like, I totally expected him to be ejected. Then he wasn't. And so I was like, okay. They just called no foul. And everyone was like, what?
Yeah.
Which I think at that point we were like, okay, if you're not going to call it on one of them, just call it no foul, I guess. Fine.
Yeah.
But then they set the precedent that like, we're going to let him play.
Mm-hmm.
And then Trey Kaufman-Renn elbows Galloway in the face down in the post. And they call that an F1. Which is surprising to me, given that they didn't call the flagrants. I don't, because it seemed like normally I feel like with officiating, it's like, okay, they set this precedent, they're going to uphold that for the game. But it was like, did they go at halftime and review things and be like, all right, we need to like tighten up the whistle or something?
They do that.
I know. That's why I'm saying, like, is that what they did? Like,
yeah.
I don't know. It was odd that's what happened. But I mean, what they do, like a 28 to 3 run. Like Purdue went on like a 21 to something run, and then IU came out in the second half and went on like a 28 to 3 run and just never really looked back.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean really good game for the Hoosiers, obviously.
Yep. It's a bad one for the Woodson haters though, because during Purdue's best stretch as a program of success, Mike Woodson is now 500. They're 4-4, or he is 4-4.
That's one thing that the Purdue people who have always said like extend Woodson, like his worst ever was 3-4 against Purdue.
Yeah.
Like he was at worst 3-4, and now he's 4-4.
Yeah.
was an odd thing. Like, I guess you just don't want them to be good at all and like not make the tournament. So that's probably where that came from. But
let's talk about Indiana State.
Yeah, they went down quite a bit here from 222 down to 234. They took 2 losses this week, brings them to 13-16 overall and 7-11 in the Missouri Valley. So they lost at home to Evansville, like we previously mentioned when we talked about Evansville, 79-74, and then they lost at Belmont, 77-75. So two tough ones this week, and at the wrong time, really. Like they needed these, and like losing at home, I think hurts worse than losing at Belmont because Belmont's pretty good. But losing at home to an Evansville team that you already beat once at their place, feels pretty bad.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I said it during the Evansville segment, but sometimes people listen to specific segments, so might have missed it. Really would have loved to have that sweep, I think. But then just the 141 to 140 aggregate scores in Evansville's favor. They're close. They're battling close. You just gotta be able to win that game.
Obviously, like this is the first year of Matt Graves, and last year was like a well-oiled machine, and like last year it was everyone's night. Like last year it was everyone's night, but one person, like everyone had a good night, pretty much last year. But then someone would have a great night.
Yep.
And so like everyone went for 12, but
someone went for 25.
Yeah, but like 12 went for 28, and something like that.
Yeah.
This one, it's like Heel usually is the one who's going for like 20 something, and then Daughtry will be like sprinkled in there sometimes, getting double digits. But then like the third person, like the fourth person, those people haven't really been there consistently. But one guy who has been there and like been able to do that, it did it in the Belmont game, was Camp Swagner. Career high 31 points, hit 9 threes, went 9 of 18, tied a program record for 3-pointers made in a game.
Which is wild when you think about the team they had last year.
Yeah. The thing is they just had too many people shooting them.
Yeah.
Like everyone shot them.
Yeah, that's fair.
But like Camp, I mean, Wagner can shoot.
He do be shooting.
Yeah. And like, you look at Teal's always scoring, in the 20s or more. He scored, I think, 2 points in the Belmont game, and he didn't score until there was 7:45 left in the game. So like that is a rough game for him, but more importantly, I think that tells a really good scout for Belmont to take him out of the game, and Camp tried to pick up that lacking offense, and they just didn't have enough juice.
I'll tell you what was interesting. I was looking at both these games. Every player that checked in for Indiana State, who were more rebounds, both games. They played 9 people against Belmont.
Good.
2 or more, at least two rebounds each. Love to see that.
Gotta crash the glass.
Yeah, love to see that. That's kind of what Graves is hammering in on this team. Also, Wild 4 for 6 from the free throw line against Belmont. Only got to the line
6 times.
6 times.
Yeah,
that's kind of, you don't see that very often.
No, you don't. No, you don't. Who the heck was it that we watched this year and it was like they get to the line a lot and they took like 6 free throws? You remember that?
I think wasn't it Southern Indiana?
I don't think it was.
I feel like they had a game where they only had 3. They were only at the line 3 times.
Maybe.
Or maybe it was Butler.
I don't know. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was a 49 States thing. I just remember a game being like they get to the line all the time, and then they got there like 4 times or something.
Like it was Southern Indiana because it was a game where like Milky, I think, hadn't missed, or maybe it was Valpo, right? And Schwieger hadn't missed like.
Yeah. And then he missed like it
was something like it was either
he missed like one of their 4.
It was either Schwieger and Valpo or
I think it was
or Southern Indiana.
It was definitely Valpo. It was more like I'm more confident that it was Valpo than Southern.
Yeah.
I think it was Valpo. But let's not talk about Valpo. Let's talk about IU Indy. They went up 3 spots from 321 to 318. They went 1-1 this week. Brings them to 9-20 overall and 5-13 in the Horizon League. So they won at Detroit Mercy 80-71, and then they lost at Northern Kentucky 67-71. So that's a bigger road trip than Butler went on. Started from the same city. They went east and west, and IU Indy went north and south.
It's actually probably about the same.
I don't know how far it is in Northern Kentucky.
Isn't Northern Kentucky not too far from Cincinnati, just on the Kentucky side?
Oh no, but remember we looked up going like how far Northern Kentucky was, and it was like low key kind of far, like a 6-hour drive from here.
Maybe.
So like a 4-hour. So not that bad. They could have carpooled, bus pooled. Shoulda.
Well, no, because at that point Butler was going. They went in opposite directions.
Yeah, let's talk about that, dude. IU Indy. I saw the statement that like they had mechanical issues that led to a fire on the bus, and I was like, at each sentence I read, I was like, please don't be something terrible. Like, please don't be something.
And it
terrible.
was like several sentences in before it like got to the.
Yeah, it was like everyone was okay and like got off the evacuated fine. I was like, oh, thank God. Yeah, like I didn't know if it was like, because when you see that, you're like, it could be a very bad fire. It could be just like a little mechanical fire under the hood, and they all got off and like, turn the bus off and it was fine. But like, the bus was burnt to a crisp. Like, there were no windows, like nothing left. There was just
wheels
husk.
And frame.
Yeah, and. So thank goodness that everyone's okay. I would like a movie made about IU Indy for a different reason.
Right, then
lose Evansville's basketball team in a plane crash. Don't want to lose IU Indy's basketball team in a bus fire.
Yeah.
But they went at Detroit Mercy. Get a good win a game that you're supposed to win. They made 6 more threes than Detroit Mercy, but they shot the same number. They each shot 23. Detroit Mercy made 5.
Broke their 3-game losing skid.
Thank God. Thank goodness.
Mm-hmm.
And then NKU, I just wanted them to win that game. Obviously, I wanted them to win that game, but I definitely wanted them to win that game because of the bowl of the wedgie that happened last time they played, and that cost them the game was the wedgie, so I wanted them to win that one.
I didn't realize this. So IU Indy is 4-16 against Northern Kentucky all time. They've lost the last 7 straight. Wild that like.
Yeah, but nobody beats IU Indy 8 times in a row.
Well, yeah, that's valid.
Better watch out.
That's valid. Crazy thing I saw was that both teams grabbed 10 offensive rebounds, which is phenomenal. Right? It's like, okay, second chance points. Those win you games. Well, in this case, it did win Northern Kentucky the game because it was like a 15-6 differential and second chance points. So great that they're attacking the offensive glass. They just didn't have the efficiency getting those second baskets.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk about Notre Dame. They went down a little bit here, 89-94. They're 1-1 this week, brings them to 12-15 overall and 6-10 in a meh ACC at best. They lost at home to SMU 97-73, and then they won at home versus Pitt 76-72.
I don't like when you read scores. You read the winning score first.
I always read the winning score first.
I want to read the team I'm talking about score first.
Never. Mm-mm. I always read the winner then loser in everything.
If I'm like talking about it to someone, I like that. Like we're talking about our names, so I'm talking about their score first. That's just how the old Jaren Wilt noggin works.
No, I'm like, I played a basketball game and I lost 21-15.
Yeah, because it's your score. Wait, no.
No.
See, I would say, like even in sports, when you're like announcing the score, you always say yours first.
Nope. I don't like it. I've never liked it, and I will never do it.
Crazy. I'm the opposite. I always like say my team score first.
Mm-mm.
Couldn't be me. Jai was almost had a 10 trillion. See that? Against SMU.
Yes.
I was just like reading looking through the box. I was like, oh
you just
no.
keep going till you find a non-zero. Like, oh
Yeah.
my god. And then you're like, what was it in though? And you go, that's kind of worse than.
Yeah, 2 fouls and a turnover.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was not what you want to see.
Worse than
especially because points is listed last, so it's like, okay, maybe.
No,
they're gonna list their point.
Well, you see the field goals,
yeah,
and the 3 points and the free throws attempted.
That's true. Yeah, I mean SMU's good, and by good I mean they score a lot of points. They have one of the best offenses in the conference. So it sucks that Jai only, didn't have any points to contribute, and Burton also didn't really play much in the second half, if I remember correctly. I don't think he started the second half. He just couldn't get going, I guess. Like, I missed the first half, and they were talking about, I guess, maybe Shrews and Burton were like butting heads or something in the first half. I don't know. But he only had 2 points, which is obviously not what you want to see, especially when he's, in the name for one of the best players in the conference.
Right.
And then the Pitt game, they played without Braden Shrews and Matalacco due to injury. Obviously, they ended up winning the game.
I think Shrews is sick.
Well, it just they're out for injury, right?
But yeah, Matalacco was like a game time decision, and they decided he couldn't go, so he should be back. That tells me he'll probably be back like next game.
Yeah,
hopefully.
Then Burton had a better game. He went for 20 on 8 for 17 shooting, 6 boards, and 3 assists. That's true. What do you have on those 2 games? Because there's something else I want to talk about Notre Dame related.
Not really anything other than nobody's watching Notre Dame basketball. It makes me mad.
Yeah.
They were all excited when they got a great recruiting class.
And yeah.
But then haven't heard anything from them since.
Yeah, so we didn't talk about it last week because Louisville and Notre Dame were playing during the show. Obviously, we announced the final score.
Bless you.
Thank you. I tried to hold it in, but I couldn't. They can talk about it after the game. Micah he did what I would have done in the situation. What I think is the right thing. Just went off about the fan support he has and the team has. And just to summarize it, he was just, he's been criticized by the media and fans for his, ability, the team's ability. And then he just kind of went on and on about how he believed in the program's future. He literally was like, I believe in myself. I believe in these guys. Don't give up on these kids. He kept reiterating, they are kids. They're doing their best.
Yeah.
Sorry. No one's perfect.
He was like, if you don't like me, fine, but don't be down on the players.
Yeah. He was like, I don't care about anyone's opinion. I know who I am. I know I can coach basketball, and I know I'm turning this program around. He's like, I will turn this program around. It will happen. He's like, you better believe that. Everyone gave up on me. Write this date down, and believe me, we're going to get this rolling. And then you hate to see their bounce back game after that is SMU. Yeah. So they struggled, but people were just saying they're like, "Oh, Micah, he's weak. He's
people either
a red flag for the future." He's like, he's not the guy that should have. And I was like, he's just inspiring his team. He's doing exactly what he did after the Citadel game last year.
Yeah, where were those people last week? You know what I'm saying? I guess not last week, the week before that, coming out of the woodwork. I don't know. There's just, I don't know. I think fair weather fan is probably the closest term because and
that's kind of how I've always felt with Notre Dame basketball.
Yeah, because they're like, hey, we're good, we'll watch, or
think about the there's a reason there's the reversible jacket meme in Indiana of Notre Dame football, Indiana basketball.
Yeah.
If you're a Notre Dame football fan, they're good. They're always going to be good.
They were the basketball, nothing worth watching.
Yeah, and then obviously Indiana is
the inverse of that.
Inverse of that, which is interesting now because I think both schools are like it's just like changing. Like I do believe in Michael Shrewsbury.
Yeah,
I know he's going to do great things at that program. He is a top 25 coach in college basketball, in my opinion.
Right.
Like,
yeah, I mean, I don't blame him. I think it's just frustrating that they don't care more. Like it's almost like an Ohio State type of deal, you know, where like if they aren't winning, they don't really care.
yeah.
They're like, oh, football's our thing, but like, go to the games, dude. Like, you're on campus, go to the games. Like, you're right there. Like, you go. How many people go fit into that stadium for football? Like
a lot.
Go to Purcell Pavilion, dude. Come on.
I've heard great things. We didn't make it, and I've never been, but I've heard nothing but great things about
same
that environment and arena.
It'll look nice. I'm sure it'll be nice next year when they're rolling.
Yeah.
I don't know. Let's talk about PFW. They went down a little bit, 155 to 158. They went 1-0, and that brings them to 19-10 and 12-6 in the conference. One win was against Oakland, and they won 80-66. Another game where we have an Indiana player score their 1,000th point. This time it was Rashid Bello. He has now eclipsed 1,000 points.
We didn't talk about it.
1,00003 or something.
We didn't talk about it with Indiana, but Malik Renew did it.
Did he really?
Yep.
I missed that.
Yep. I kind of glossed over it before the show talking to you. He got the game ball for scoring his 1,000th point.
Oh, must have missed the latter half.
Yeah, they held Oakland to 1 of 21 from 3.
Dude, they've done that a couple of times this season to people.
They actually, they only did it one other time this season.
No, I didn't mean like literally that. I mean like they've held people to like 2
but they did
3.
actually do it. They did it against Southeastern Louisiana. They were 1 of 28 from 3. It was an overtime game. I don't think it was this season though.
I don't remember that. I don't remember that team. So probably not.
Just a stat that I saw. Another thing too, they had senior night.
Yeah.
Is it odd to you that they didn't do it on their last home game?
This one was at the Gates Center, so that's probably why.
Was it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. When was it? Friday night?
One of those days. All my days.
Yeah, it was Friday because I was at Coliseum for the hockey game.
That's why.
And that makes sense why they.
Yeah.
I was wondering. I was like, because I felt like they had a game that night, and I was like, "This is odd."
Yeah, I'm here.
I
see the ice.
It was right. Not just feel it.
Yeah.
It was so weird because I was driving my future brother-in-law, I guess my sister's fiance. We rode together to the game because my dad, him, my other brother-in-law, nephew, and then my other sister's boyfriend. We all went together. And when I was like, "Yep, that's where I park when I come for media." I was like, "Yep, there's the door that I go through."
Mm-hmm.
And it was just like they're just like fascinated. They're like, "What?"
I've seen the other side.
Yeah, they're like, "You just go through the staff door." I was like, "Yeah,
just wear a badge." They shot well though from 3, 17-38, 17-38. Oh my god, it was meant to be. They're gonna score 679 points. That's what I expect from the Dons team at this point. You got anything else about the Dons?
No, I do not. This wasn't the game where Campy had already broke the record, right? Or was this the game where if he would have won, he would have broken the record?
He would have had to win this game to break the record.
That's right. Okay.
Break the record. Yeah, to be sole possession, I think.
Yeah. He's tied for first right now, but couldn't remember if that was this game or if we talked about it, but it was not in our notes last week. Talked about it.
Yeah.
So that makes sense.
Because
we talked about it. It was Purdue.
Yeah. Chance to spoil.
Yeah, both Purdue schools had this chance to spoil.
The one thing that I wanted to, last thing I had on them was they need IU Indy to win their next home game against Robert Morris because Cleveland State dropped a game this weekend. And so Robert Morris, if they win they have one game left in conference. And if they win it against IUND at IUND, then they win it. And I think Cleveland State still has a chance to share. But maybe not. But yeah, if they win this game, they just win the conference and they win the 1 seed. So keep an eye on that. Let's talk about Purdue.
Yep.
They went down here from 9 to 13. They went 0-2 this week, so their second 0-2 week of the season. Third 0-2 week. No, I guess their second 0-2 week of the season.
Mm-hmm.
They are 19 and 18 overall and 11 and 5 in the Big Ten. They lost at Michigan State 75 to 66, and then they lost at Indiana 73 to 58 on Sunday. When was the last time they lost 4 in a row?
1920 season, because it was the longest streak. It was their longest losing streaks since that season at 3 when they lost to Michigan State, and then losing to Indiana, they tied.
So they had also lost 4 games at one point.
Yeah,
that
so
season.
it's still their longest streak since that season.
Mm-hmm.
But then if they lose again, it'll be their longest streak since I don't know what season.
Right.
But it won't be.
And their next game is at home versus UCLA, so they shouldn't get to 5 losses. Purdue Pete Willing.
Right. Right.
Michigan State, I feel like, was a bad matchup at the time in the season at which Purdue had to play them, because Michigan State's not a good team to play when you need a bounce back game. And Michigan State is going to try and turn you over, and they're going to not shoot because they can't, but they're going to try and just speed you up a little bit and just try and get out in transition. You're going to have to stop them, and Purdue just couldn't do it. I mean, they had 42 points in the paint, Michigan State, and 24 for Purdue. Michigan State had 19 points off Purdue's 12 turnovers. Like, they didn't get turned over a ton, but like when they turn you over, they are scoring.
Yeah, and I think that in general, even going back to what you said about the timing not being great when you want to play Michigan State, I'd say anytime you're playing Michigan State, last 2 weeks of the season, the last month of the season is when you don't want to, because they are always a team. They're like a slow burn.
They are.
They just get better and better as the season goes on.
Michigan State has lost all these games in December, and then it's like, it's so that they can win them all in February and March.
Yeah. I didn't realize this. Purdue's 4-6 against nationally ranked teams this season.
Well, they've played a bunch of really good ones.
Yeah, they've got the 4th most difficult schedule in the country.
It's not like they've played like, it's not like they were playing like UCLA, who then like fell out.
Yeah.
Or like, Indiana, who fell out. And has been like not even sniffing teams that haven't been sniffing the top 25 since they lost to them. Like Bama.
Tough,
Auburn. Tough teams. Yeah, Auburn, like tough teams. So like it's not like, it sounds crazy, but like those are 4 of their 6 losses, and the other one was Penn State, which was a bad matchup, and then Indiana.
A&M.
They're ranked.
That's what I'm talking about. I was talking about their ranked losses.
Yeah, I was talking about the other 2.
Oh,
yeah, I was talking about the other, because 4 of their 6 losses.
Got it. Yeah.
Or I guess 4 of their 8 losses.
Yep. Braden
Drews.
was
Braden
Smith.
He
needed 8 assists to break the all-time assist record at Purdue, which didn't realize held by a family friend of his.
Who do you think taught him how to pass?
Well, it's funny they were talking about. I can't remember his name. It's the guy who has the record presently. But he like reached out to Painter and was like, "Check this kid out." And like got Braden recruited. He even said he was like, "I don't want my record to ever be broken, but if anyone's gonna do it, it's gonna be this kid."
And he still has 30 plus to 40 games left.
Yeah.
Just crazy.
But he needed 8 going into the Indiana game. He only got 5. So he is 2 away from tying the record, 3 away from breaking the record. But he did hit the 500 rebound mark. So he has 500 career rebounds as a point guard.
Indiana has done a good job of stopping people from doing milestones against them. Stopped Tom Izzo from beating Bob Knight, and then stopped Braden Smith from becoming the all-time assist leader. You want to talk about how they should have been playing they should have been playing against Anthony Leal. Wish should not have been playing against Anthony Leal because he should have gotten ejected because we didn't talk about it from the Purdue angle.
Go for it, yeah. How the fact that they had
the one nut shot all year that they don't call an F2.
Yeah, and it even happened to them last week. Yeah, I mean, Leal and First got tangled up. It looked like Leal First kind of like hooked and hold and pulled Leal down. They were like, it was like under the basket. Leal obviously got up and tried to run off. Accidentally put his foot at a very odd angle. Yeah. Right. Kicked First.
Kicked him right in the nuts.
And First was just under the basket, leaned up against the hoop, I guess.
Nylon thing, yeah.
Just like what?
Mm-hmm.
What? And like pointed to his nuts. Yeah, I mean, one, Braden breaks the record if Leo gets ejected.
For sure.
And 2, I think Purdue wins this game.
For sure.
If Leo gets ejected.
It was odd officiating. Does Purdue need an enforcer? Because, like, obviously that there were 2 people that could be an enforcer on last year's team. Mason Gillis and Zach Edey. Like, ain't nobody getting in Zach Edey's face. Like, you know what I mean?
Most people aren't, yeah.
And, like, who is that on the Purdue team right now?
I guess you want it to be First, but no one.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, like, Painter's always Painter's not a Dan Hurley, obviously.
Right? Yeah,
that's what we like about Matt Painter. He's not a Dan Hurley. Not that I don't like Dan Hurley. I mean, I like Dan Hurley too, but I like that this demeanor from Matt Painter is who he is. But like, there's no one who's gonna Mason Gillis. If Anthony Leal had hit Mason Gillis in the nuts, it would have been over.
Yeah, yeah.
It would have been over. I just feel like they don't have anyone to be the enforcer, to make sure that they don't. I
think Berg wants to be when he's on the court, but like,
don't get me started on Berg. Don't get me started.
Yeah, they just don't have one. I think that it doesn't make a team better or worse having one. It's just it helps the set the tone for the game.
Mm-hmm.
And there's just no one there.
Yeah,
Lawyer.
I mean,
this Lawyer the guy.
Is Lawyer the guy? The dude.
Did you see when Lawyer ran up
like a rag doll?
When Lawyer ran up to take to do a screen, and he was just like, "Oh, I'm about to get that." He literally, you see the light bulb flick on in his head. It's like, I'm about to draw this foul so hard, and just runs up and just lets himself get fucking wrecked.
He goes down. He takes the hits. I'll give him that. He takes the hits, man. And he's sneaky with his points because he'll just absolutely hit. I appreciate that he can take it to the hole and he's sneakier than you would think he would be.
Yep.
But like, dude will literally let you back up a truck into him to draw the foul.
Yeah. Let's move on to Southern Indiana. Though.
Hang on 1 second.
Okay.
I was just looking. So Braden Smith, if this is updated, is 9th in all-time assists in the Big Ten.
Okay.
He's right behind Aaron Kraft. Cassius Winston has 890 assists. So Braden Smith is definitely on pace to be the all-time assist leader. Number 1, Cassius Winston at 890 for Michigan State. Number 2, also from Michigan State, Mateen Cleaves, national champion. Fun fact, I think he'll get there. He should get there. Unless he has to start scoring more.
Even more.
Yeah. Let's talk about Southern Indiana.
Okay, they moved up in Torvik. They're 333 from 337. They did go 1-1 this week. They are 10-18 overall, 5-13 in the Ohio Valley. They lost to Eastern Illinois 63-54, and they won over SIUE 82-68. And the Eastern Illinois game, they just started really slow. They were like 3 of 9 in the first 10 minutes of the game.
Yeah.
9 shots in the first 10. Not ideal. They did get within 1 with 4 minutes to go, 52-51. Then they missed their next 6 shots. So they're like the opposite of what we talked about with.
So we're talking about getting to a slow start.
Yeah.
Coming on and then fading.
So it's just
there's the bell curve.
Yeah, there's an actual bell curve, which you really hate to see because I think if they didn't start as slow as they did, or if they make any of their final 6 shots, they probably win this game. It gets down when you're in the final minutes, you're fouling a lot, so you're trying to stop the clock.
Dude, I feel like, so last year I feel like the thing with Southern Indiana was they just lost heartbreakers.
Yep.
All the time.
Yep.
This one is like this season, the tale of this season has been like they are tied or winning with 2 minutes left.
Mm-hmm.
And then they cannot score. They just can't buy a bucket, and then they lose the game by 4.
Yeah.
And that sucks. Like that, I don't know if that feels worse. Neither feel good. Tell you that much.
Yeah, that is valid.
But they did win, like you said, in their senior day. They did win that game. So it has to feel really good for Milky to hit a big 3 with like 3 minutes left to go up double digits, because he's definitely struggled to shoot it this season comparatively. And he got a career high 13 rebounds. That does feel good. If he's going to go continue to play basketball, awesome. But whenever he's done with that, if that's what he's going to do, he needs to be a coach. He absolutely needs to be a coach.
Been screaming it for the rooftops all season.
Like, I don't know if you bring him like as a grad assistant, or if you just like, if he goes somewhere and is a grad assistant, he needs to go coach somewhere. He's going to be so good.
I absolutely agree. He's just one of those guys. He knows the game.
Mm-hmm. His knowledge is just through.
He's a great leader. I have a question for you. So senior night, right?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people, I guess, let me start there. A lot of people say, okay, it's senior night to make sure that all of your seniors either see the court or start. What's your opinion on that? Are you in that camp of like, you got to represent the seniors by having them play? Or do you not care about it so much?
It depends on the game.
Okay.
I'd say if you think it's gonna be a tight one, let them start. So let them start and put in a sub, like just have people sub them out immediately.
Yeah.
For scholarship anyway. For scholarship players. I would like them all to see the court for sure. Obviously, they get celebrated before or after the game, depending on what the school does. But I would like them all to see the court, especially in a game when you win by 14.
Mm-hmm.
I would like them all to, check them in, save a timeout. I guess don't specifically save a timeout, but if you have a timeout, check them in at the end so that they can get some sort of celebration.
Yeah, I personally am just not. It's. Yeah, they're senior. It's celebrating their time at the program, not necessarily the time in this specific game kind of thing. I was thinking about it because Merv didn't play.
Yeah,
and he was one of the seniors. There
was
three
seniors.
I
don't think Hiddle did either.
Hiddle's hurt.
Right.
So. He's on a boot. I believe. But yeah, I was like, I think about it like as a baseball coach too. Like we've got a kid who's a senior who's probably gonna be like a manager kind of situation.
Yeah,
and like,
but I mean, it's easier to sub in for 30 seconds in a basketball game
yeah,
than like, hey, go out there
like
7th inning.
we were talking about it. I was talking about our head coach, and we were just like, yeah, we'll fit him into a game sometime, like a DH at the end of the game, just because you're a pinch hitter at the game because you can do that whenever, and like then put the starter back in.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just like sometimes you've got probably different in high school because like you've got guys that like make the team
Mm-hmm.
who really aren't going to play it, but they're just there because they've put in the time, they've put in the work. That like, sorry, they're just a senior and just not good enough kind of thing. But they've played JV all 4 years or 3 years prior kind of thing.
I think this is just a little bit different for like because Merv has seen minutes
this
year, so like I would have liked to have seen him out there. And
it wasn't really, I wasn't trying to necessarily making the comparison to this game.
No,
it was just in general.
I just know that he didn't play, so I'm like, I would have liked to have seen him in
especially as we're like getting to the time of the season where like it is applicable.
Yeah, especially because they teams. Only have 2 more games.
Yeah. And a lot with senior nights coming up in general, we've had several already. Kind of thing. It was just a thought that crossed my mind.
Yeah.
But anything else on the Screegs?
No, send us on up, just straight up from Evansville. Just go straight up and slightly over to Valpo.
To Valpo, they moved up in Torvik. They are 244 from 247. They are one of our 3 or 4 teams this week that did not lose a game. They went 2-0. They are 13-16 overall, 6-12 in the Valley. They won over Missouri State 66-64. They won at Southern Illinois 83-79. And with that, the Valpo Beacons are our Hickory team of the week. They're one of 3 teams that did not lose a game, but they're the only one of those 3 that played more than 1 game. So definitely deserved it there. They rallied from being down double figures against Missouri State, which allowed them to get their first home season sweep over I think Missouri State Bears, I believe is their mascot.
They are.
Ever. It also broke a 9-game losing streak against them. So huge win, both for historical purposes and for the Beacons in general. Against Southern Illinois, they were 8-point dogs. They got the win and got their first back-to-back win since 2025 started. So they started the calendar year with a 3-game winning streak. Now they are back to that double-game winning streak. With Southern Indiana, that win put them within double digits of last season's win total. So last season they won 7 games overall. Now 13 wins, so 1 more win gets them to double. And they've already doubled their conference wins from last season, which was 3. So big milestone for the Beacons this week.
Building in Valpo.
It is building.
Powell didn't come in to...
Roger Powell lit the Beacons.
Yeah.
And assistance is coming.
Gondor is called for aid. Yeah, he did. And I like to see that there were fans at the Missouri State game. Like, they went onto the court afterwards, which is like funny because it was the worst team in the league. But they did it because I'm glad that they were there. Do whatever you want if you're there. All Right was great in both games.
Yes. Most points in a single half by Beacon since Stafford did it last season in November.
Man,
hit 22.
What this team could have been if they had Stafford.
I think we're looking at a top of the
top
of the conference
for sure they'd be a team that could be in the mix.
Maybe not like a Drake level, but like
Bradley. Yeah,
or like a
Bradley,
Northern Iowa,
maybe right below, maybe like a UIC. Or Northern Iowa would be a good comparison. Brady Vincent the second, check in, 17 points, former Jaguar, former IUND Jaguar. Sorry, that's false.
He was an
IUPUI Jaguar. He was never an IUND Jaguar. But yeah, I mean, 2 good wins. got to see. I'd like to see them get to 500. They have what, 2 more wins? Can't be. They just can't finish 500 unless they run through the Valley tournament. So maybe.
Yeah, their final season standings they could, or final season record they regular could be above 500, but regular season they cannot. All right, Adam. Well, who is our Jimmy Chitwood Player of the Week for Week 16?
Exactly 10 weeks ago, I was talking about the same player, their first time being Jimmy Chitwood, and that is All Right from Valparaiso. He was our Week 6 Jimmy Chitwood. He's our Week 16 Jimmy Chitwood as well, because he had 24 points in a win against Missouri State. Then he followed it up with 29 points in their win at Southern Illinois, and 22 of those came in the second half. Just absolutely took over in the second half. He's a guy who stepped in as a freshman and, didn't know exactly how big his role was going to be. He takes this team to another level as a lead guard. He's the second leading assist man based on averages, and the second leading scorer based on averages, and he can just go off any given night. You never know when it's going to happen. Perfect from the free throw line at Southern Illinois, and then 9 of 10 against Missouri State. And this is an Indiana podcast, so free throws are important to us. Making your shots is important, and All Right has done that, and he has just been all right. So 10 weeks later, he's done it again.
All right.
Hey. Let's talk about next week. So we'll talk about Indiana here, because there are some games that have some big impact for one reason or another. A lot of them are lumped together for one specific reason, is because this is the last time we will see these teams play in the regular season. Some of them we will see in the conference tournaments. Southern Indiana we will not. The rest of them we should see, because like we said, Ball State is probably going to make the MAC tournament. They also play in 2 weeks anyway, so it's not really relevant. But who is it? It's the Missouri Valley and the Ohio Valley.
Yep.
And the Horizon League. All are done this week.
Yes. So the 3 Missouri Valley schools, they all play at 1 p.m. with Indiana State. And then the other 2, Valpo and Evansville, play at 3 p.m. on March 2nd. So that is Sunday. So that'll be their last games of the season. Saturday, Southern Indiana. Sorry, the last games of the regular season. Then, like you said, Saturday, Southern Indiana plays at 4:30. That is their last game of the season, because unfortunately they are in one of those conferences where there's a cutoff to make the tournament, and they are below that
because their tournament is in Evansville.
Yeah,
at the Ford Center.
Yeah, and then, like Adam mentioned, the Horizon League, we have IU Indy and Purdue Fort Wayne. They play on Saturday as well, but the more important game for those 2 schools, in my opinion, is the 27th. So that is Wednesday. IU Indy plays Robert Morris. We talked about it when we talked about Purdue Fort Wayne a little bit ago, which is kind of funny. But IU Indy, they need to beat Robert Morris to help Purdue Fort Wayne potentially win the league, or win a share of the league.
Yeah. If IU Indy beats Robert Morris and PFW wins out, then they will share.
Yep.
And that would be fun, because in order to do that, they also have to win. PFW also has to win on Saturday at 3 p.m. at Cleveland State. So they
have to win against the 2 top teams in the conference to win a share of the conference.
Yeah, IU Indy has to be the top team, and then PFW has to be the second team.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting. Those have implications. And then another one that I'm interested in is just any Indiana game, because they're making the trip out to the Pacific Northwest.
Yes.
Next, they play on Saturday at Washington. So I don't know how they have so much. No, they play at home at Penn State first, and then they go out to Washington, and then they'll stay out there to play Oregon
next week.
So,
or in 2 weeks.
They need to win all their games pretty much to have a chance to make the NCAA tournament. If they can win their last 4, they'll be in pretty good shape and feeling pretty good on selection side, pretty okay on Selection Sunday, depending on how the Big Ten tournament goes.
Yeah, and then Ball State, they play Saturday at 2 p.m. That's March 1st. They're at Bowling Green. They are 2-point dogs, but Bowling Green is one of those teams that's sitting behind Ball State in the standings. We talked about it a little bit earlier. If Ball State can finish the season 2-2, then they should firmly be in the MAC tournament. But the Bowling Green game is especially important because being one of the teams behind them, you don't want to give them a full game. A half game is probably okay, but giving them a full game is obviously Bowling Green still has to win other games, and Ball State still has a chance to win other games. But you can't let that gap.
You don't.
Close.
That's the worst. You losing to Akron, fine.
Yeah,
because they play Akron on Tuesday. It's probably fine. You don't want to lose to someone who's in direct competition with you. Is for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yep. And then on Tuesday or on Wednesday, Butler plays against St. John's. Interesting. The spread is only 5. St. John's is only favored by 5.
Hinkle's gonna trip somebody up. Why not St. John's?
Yeah. Hinkle is the difference maker there, but St. John's is playing really scary. Yeah. They're like a buzzsaw. They're just a team that you don't want to play.
And I think Kadari Richmond is like hurt, and he probably won't be playing. So I don't think that has any factor into it. But like, just for the thought of like, hey, can Butler pull it off? Is that their next game, St. John's?
Yes.
If St. John's beats Butler, they win at least a share of the Big East. So Indiana has done some spoiling this year. It's time for Butler to do it. Time for Butler to rain on their parade.
Yep. So let's widen our lens and look at the other 49 states and kind of some storylines that happened last week. Like we said, we used to go through and like talk about one game each day, or like talk about what games happened each day. That's less fun than talking about the storylines, because I think that's one of the cool things. Anyone can look up a box score and like see, okay, Duke beat Illinois, but talk about the things that like happened around the time. Like, no one's talking about that A-Rod hit a half-court shot in the Army Bucknell game to win a kid $10,000.
What a weird thing. What a weird sentence to be said.
Yeah, but those are the fun things that happen. Or the fact that like there's a Texas Tech fan that before the season said if Texas Tech hits the top 10 at all this season, he will sit down and eat 40 tortillas raw. It's like 40 tortillas.
Okay.
He did it. And by did it, I mean he attempted it because Texas Tech made top 10. But he only got to like 15 tortillas, and he filmed himself doing it the whole time. He was getting cooked by people in the comments. They're like, why didn't you just fry the tortillas and turn them into tortilla chips?
What wasn't the deal?
He just said tortillas. He didn't say what form.
So
that begs the question.
You saw what happened to Ohio State when he was doing the peeps differently.
But that begs the question: how many raw tortillas do you think you could eat?
How big are they?
In one sitting? It's like a normal like 4-inch, 6-inch. I don't know sizing. It's like a normal like tortilla. I don't know.
Like a little one?
Yeah, just like the normal
like a little, street taco?
Like a little street taco one, yeah.
Oh, are they corn or flour? No, I don't know. I need you to tell me.
Corn.
Corn? Fewer corn for sure. I don't know. I brought this bag of tortillas. No, I did bring this bag of tortillas. I don't know. Not many. I can't eat like that. 15? I could do it. How many did he do?
He did 15.
I could at least do 15.
I don't know.
I could do at least 15.
They were street taco sized for sure. I couldn't tell if they were flour or corn from the video.
I like flour more plain. I don't like corn more. I like corn more like with tacos in them, but like
right.
If I thought you were talking about like 8-inch
like a burrito. Oh no.
Not like a Chipotle one, but like a regular like 8-inch burrito one. I don't know, 15 maybe. Now if he only ate 15 of those little ones, that's embarrassing.
Yeah.
I have no stake in this. I don't know. Why do I want to eat 15 tortillas?
But they're like, okay, well, you fry them, you make them into tortilla chips. You probably get 4 chips per tortilla. That's 160 total chips. You can eat 160 tortilla chips.
Well, they're thinner. The ones that they make chips out of, they're definitely thinner.
I mean, well, you gotta think about it. When you fry it, it loses its like water weight. Think about it.
I am not eating. I'm not eating 160 tortilla chips. I'll tell you that much. And I love some chips and salsa at a Mexican restaurant. Don't get me wrong. I had some chips and salsa con queso the other day, actually. But no. That's just, and it's all grain. So like you can't drink, or it just becomes a ball of like mass of just terrible. I don't know.
Okay. Did you watch the MSG game, the Duke Illinois game? What was that, Saturday?
No, I did not watch it, and I'm glad I didn't watch it.
Yeah, you're probably better for it. We talked about how awesome that kind of thing is. This made me think about like maybe it wasn't as awesome as I wanted it to be.
Oh no! I want more people to do it for sure. And they both said after the game that they like the result doesn't impact. They still want to continue to do this, like not with each other, but just like
per se. But yeah.
Schedule games in the middle of February when you have like a week off. And I agree. I mean, it was great to just have that. To watch. I didn't watch it because I think I was just asleep.
You were watching movies.
Yeah, I was definitely watching a movie. And then Illinois, man, that was their biggest loss ever.
Well, in
the history of the program.
Yeah, what was it, 43? I think something like that.
It was like something 110 to.
I saw someone commented on the game. Username Brad Overwood.
Okay.
And
burners are just everywhere, man.
Yeah, he was like, they need to replay this game to show that it was not a fluke. They're like, because this game, it was absolutely a fluke, and it does a disservice to Illinois and a disservice to the NCAA. I thought it was like, ow. Like, I don't think Illinois is that far on the bubble. I don't think it really matters.
No, they're not on the bubble, but like, they've had some head scratchers.
Yeah.
They've had some head scratchers, and like, Brad was saying after the game that like, you know, if they hit like half their shots, like it's a game or something. It's like, yeah, of course if you hit half your shots, it's a game. You can't just say we didn't hit our shots tonight. We lost the biggest margin of defeat ever in our program. Like we didn't hit our shots tonight. We lost by 5. That is acceptable.
Yeah.
Like we didn't hit our shots tonight.
We lost by 50.
Yeah, like that. Okay. So what?
Speaking of losing by 50, Virginia, North Carolina played, I think, might have been Saturday. At one point, someone from Virginia hit a 3, and it broke the score bug. The score on the screen said 53-0, Virginia in favor. And then some people were commenting. They're like, yeah, then UNC just went on a miraculous 81-13 run to end the game.
Yeah.
And this was like with 9 minutes left. Could you imagine an 81-13 run?
81-13. I mean, I saw 30. I literally watched a 30-0 run. So like, it's not that far fetched. But I think it would be more odd to see a 53-0 score. That would only happen in like,
especially in a Virginia game.
The girls' high school is probably the only place that something like that has ever happened. No, if it was going to happen to a program, it would 100% be Virginia, but they would have 0.
Right. Yeah. And I saw BYU beat Arizona at Arizona. They scored 96, which is the most scored by any visiting team playing at a McHale Center since 2009. That last game was BYU when they scored 99 points, led by 49 from Jimmer.
Dude. He's that guy.
So BYU's last visit to McHale, they scored 99. They scored 96 this time. Jimmer holds the scoring record there.
Does he?
Yeah.
Can never let it be an away team, man.
Since 2009. That's just wild to think about.
It ain't 2009 no more, but Jimmer still got the record.
Yeah.
BYU had one hell of a week, dude. They smoked Kansas 91-57, and that was on Tuesday night. We were out at Wings, and we were watching it. We were like, is that the score? Like, is that the score? It was like, dude, on DraftKings, it's BYU like minus 12.5, but they're up 25. I feel like I should take that. All right, I'll take it. Yeah, it hit. Is the easiest thing that's ever happened ever. 91-57. Oh my god, dude. Kansas. Bill Self, man, what in the world is going on? They spent all that money on AJ Store and it did not work out.
No, Bill Self is just he's ready to come to Indiana.
Bro, if I'm Bill Self, I might be like, maybe it's just time to be done. Now that everyone can pay people.
Yeah.
What have I got?
For Bello.
R.I.P. to a real one.
His reign over the NCAA has
R.I.P.
come to an end.
Retire in peace. Retire in peace to a real one right there.
He was just straight up dismissed from the program. His last basketball play was him getting a technical from the bench.
And absolutely no one was surprised when they heard this. Like when I heard I didn't even like. Normally there are things when you see on the internet or like a headline that you have to like click into the replies to be like, oh, is this real? Or like see who posted it.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't need to look at a further thing. I saw it and I was like, yeah, that tracks. And just kept on scrolling.
I'm just glad I got to see him play in his final season as a player.
It's crazy.
One of his final games.
True. You were there, dude. You could sell your ticket. Sell your ticket for thousands of dollars someday.
I didn't have a ticket.
Sell your media pass.
It's probably hanging up somewhere over there in the conglomerate of things. Let's talk about next week.
Hang on. I want to talk about Rick Pitino.
Oh, okay.
Rick Pitino was on, I think it was on Pardon My Take, and he was saying that Indiana should just hire Chris Beard, saying that, talking about like Chris Beard reached out to him when he was
in Greek,
ostracized from college basketball, basically.
Mm-hmm.
After he got forced out at Louisville. And he was like, they should hire Chris Beard. Like, he'd do great there. He basically said, like, he wants to be there. And that he runs his practice great. And, like, Rick, no one is debating his basketball coach. There are a few who say he's not that great. There are not many people who are doubting his basketball ability. That was never the hang-up. The hang-up was that he literally got arrested and booked for hacking his fiance. Mm-hmm. That's the problem. Listen, if that never happened, he would never been forced out of Texas, so we would never be in this situation. But if that never happened, yeah, I'd be all for him. But it's not like he's, I don't even want to say like Will Wade. It's not like he cheated and broke an NCAA rule. No, he literally broke a law and did something I am morally against as a person and human being, and would have a hard time supporting him. I never doubted his coaching ability. I doubted his person.
Yeah.
And, I don't know. I'm not saying this is the case whatsoever, but like, I don't know why he went and said that. Obviously, he thinks that he is friends with Chris Beard and he knows that Chris Beard wants the job. So is Chris Beard just telling people to like get the word out there that he wants the India job? Because there's not a single time that he's been mentioned that like Chris Beard will take it if it's offered. It's like, dude, who is he floating this to? Dude, he's telling everyone he knows to be like, I'll take the Indiana job. Just tell him to offer it to me. Yeah. I promise.
I mean, he's gotta be.
Has to be. Like there's how many times do you think he's been like, bring up me to Indiana? He was talking about fucking Bob Knight. Yeah. In an interview. Like, it's not unintentional. No. It's all calculated. It is. And, that's just interesting because, like, now Rick Pitino's not a candidate. Like he ever was. Right. But Dusty May also signs that he actually signed his contract extension, so like he's out. So
I mean, he did sign a contract extension with FAU and then leave.
FAU didn't have Michigan football money to put his contract on.
Or NIL.
Yeah, and we're not having to pay, and we don't have to compete against. Not going to compete with Michigan football money, or we're not going to compete with. They're not going to compete with Boston Celtics money. It'll be interesting to see who emerges. No new information has come out, basically.
Yep. So next week, Monday the 24th, our game of the day is Houston at Texas Tech. That's 9 p.m. A lot of 9 p.m. games this week. I apologize on behalf of our unpaid intern. But
he didn't get paid, so he can stay up late.
Yeah. Houston are 2.5-point favorites. This game should just be fun. Both teams are great must-watch basketball, in my opinion. Tech is currently in second in the conference. They're 3 games back of Houston. I don't see Houston giving up that 3-game lead in the standings, but this game could be a step in that direction in Tech's behalf. So something to keep an eye out there.
Tuesday on the 25th, our game is Iowa-Illinois. We got some Big Ten basketball. That's at 9 p.m. again. Illinois is favored by 14. They need a bounce-back game, and there's probably no better team to do it against than a team that just won't stop you from scoring. So that'll be the story of the Illinois-Iowa game.
We might see 250 points scored in that game.
Maybe.
Wednesday on the 26th, we've got Kentucky at Oklahoma at 9 p.m. Kentucky are 3.5-point favorites. Oklahoma's in a weird position where they're kind of currently firmly on the bubble, but they need this game come Selection Sunday. Kentucky is in most people's opinions in. So Oklahoma, they're kind of fighting for their NCAA tournament appearance. So something to keep an eye out there.
Thursday, we got some American action for you. That's the 27th. It's the UAB at Wichita State. It's a coin flip game. Again, 9 p.m. Just pencil in 9 p.m. for the first couple of days. UAB's right behind Memphis for the first place in the American. And if they knock off Memphis, it's going to come up with some interesting things come Selection Sunday, because Memphis should get at large, so there'd be a bid stealer coming out of the American. But Memphis, they got to get out of the American. they got to get out of there.
Like our third week straight of saying that.
Yeah, dude.
Friday on the 28th, our game of the day is Yale at Dartmouth at 5 p.m. Yale are 5-point favorites. They're safely in first place in the league. I think they got a 4-game lead above Dartmouth, who's in second. There's only 3 games left in the season, so really this game is a non-factor. But the Ivy League is fun to watch. So, I don't see us having a 2-bid Ivy League. But
man, that'd be the dream.
If Dartmouth gets hot and they win the conference tournament, maybe Yale has I don't know Yale's resume well enough, but it's probably not.
I'm going to trust my instinct and say no.
Probably not going to be in. But it's still, Ivy League is fun. Let the right team get hot going into the conference tournament, and that's an automatic lock for the first round always.
Mm-hmm. On Saturday, March 1st, it's now March, I guess, so just watch any basketball you can. People are wrapping up their regular season, so just tune in to anything, find a ranked game, and just throw it on.
Yep. Sunday, we've got Wisconsin at Michigan State. Michigan State are 2.5-point favorites. That's a 1:30 tip. Right now, Michigan State has a half-game lead over Michigan in the Big Ten, and they're 2 games above Wisconsin in the standings. This is obviously going to look a little bit different because this is our last game of the week, being on Sunday. So, that half game could extend further. But either way, it's coming down to the wire for first place in the Big Ten. And it's just big implications for both these teams.
Yeah, it feels like it's probably going to be Michigan State, which should be crazy. given how crazy that Michigan State and Michigan are right there when we thought it would be Indiana and Purdue.
Yep.
Just shoved it right north, and that's where we are. Guess the game.
Mm-hmm.
I'm 4-11. You're 3-12.
Yes.
So I think I go first this time. Do you go first?
I think I go first.
All right, you can go first.
Okay. All right. Well, this week I've got for you week 16. I guess week 17. Guess the game. Is Rockets and Wings.
Rockets and Wings.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna just say Toledo, Buffalo.
No way.
Toledo Rockets, Buffalo Wings.
It is Toledo at Buffalo. That game is 4:30 Saturday, March 1st.
The March game. Oh God, I don't think I picked a March game. Close though. All right.
That's disappointing.
Sorry. You know what? And you know what? I almost said Akron because
I thought I could trip you up
all the time, and I was like,
no, Wings is obscure enough that maybe he might not think right away that it's Buffalo.
Wings could have been like Charlotte or like Portland Pilots.
Which I learned last week.
Yeah, throwback to the non-used one.
And then Rockets is like he always gets Akron and Toledo messed up.
I always do. All right, you ready for yours?
Yes.
All right. Can you guess this game based on the clue? The clue is gambler's game. This is a gambler's game. Could be blackjack, could be poker, could be roulette, could be
sports betting.
Yeah, it could be. Could be craps. Not Balatro.
Gambler's game.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think Vegas, so UNLV. But who could they be playing that's related to gambling? Will Wade strikes me as a gambler, but I don't think UNLV is playing McNeese State.
Dude, I don't know where McNeese is. The Southland?
Yeah, they're in the Southland.
They scheduled one of those out of conference games.
Yeah. Gambler's game.
The gambler's game.
I don't even have a remote idea. I guess UNLV and I don't know.
Don't think too far now. Don't think too far.
Yeah, I just can't remember what conference UNLV's in. UNLV Nevada. UNLV
Don't think
Nevada.
Too far. You went Nevada at UNLV.
Let's go.
Friday, February 28th at 11 p.m. Right before March. So when you're watching this, it'll turn to March right before the end buzzer.
Nice.
You did it. You got one. I got you to 4 wins.
But I got you to 5, so we're not tied.
It's okay. I just said I was going to get you to 4.
That's valid. That's valid.
You did it. The gambler's game. You know, I was hoping you would get to Nevada because like you should get to UNLV unless you're thinking of some mascot that's like a gambler or something. Then I was like, my final thought was like, he's just gonna not know who else to guess and is just gonna have to guess Nevada. Like he's just gonna be like UNLV, right? That's in Vegas, and they're like, I don't know what's geographically generally. They're in Nevada.
Yeah, I almost said like
Fresno State, but like
yeah, I almost said like a random California school.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, anything else?
Not really.
Remember to like and subscribe. Share this podcast with all of your family and friends who enjoy basketball.
Or your enemies.
Maybe we said something good about your school and bad about theirs, so you can share it with them to spread that word. Not sure what our March Madness schedule is going to be, but it is almost March, so I wanted to bring that up. We're still we haven't even talked about it, so
yeah,
we'll talk about it.
We might
another
do
time.
like I don't know. We probably won't do a round by round. Maybe we'll be together one of the nights and we'll go live just while we watch or something.
We'll figure it out, but
we'll be doing something, but that's a couple of weeks away.
Yeah, we're getting close though, so I felt the need to bring it up with all the March talk. But with that, the clock is showing quadruple zeros, so it's time for us to get out of here. Thanks for checking in on the State of Basketball podcast. We will see you next week. And remember, in 49 states,
it's just basketball.